All right. Just going to make sure we're good to go everywhere. And then we're going to get into it. So, guys, today, this one's going to be fun. We are talking about how getting strong actually helps your cardio. And we're talking about this because I posted a video the other day, and that video was talking about how getting strong can help your cardio. And wow, was all I've got to say to some of the comments that came through on that one. Like I had one dude calling me a dork, telling me to stick to training soccer moms because clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. I had like this same dude threatened to break me in half because I talked about how getting strong is an important part of your cardio. So yeah, we're going to talk about that today, how getting strong actually helps your cardio. And then also we're going to talk about what getting strong actually means, because there are some people out there that seem to be confused about this. We're going to give it about 30 seconds. As you tune in, make sure you drop me how your week is going. Let me know how training is going. If there is something specific you need help with, because I can stick around today to do a little bit more Q&A after the episode. But let me know how things are going for you. Can you give me a tip? I have a tournament. I can't give you a tip if all I know is that you have a tournament, because I don't know what the tournament is in. I don't know when it is. I don't know what you need a tip on, where your struggles are. Like, nowhere near enough information there to give you a tip. Injured? I'm sorry to hear that. Hey, coach. Hey, hope everything's going well. Let me know how training is going for you. Let me know how things are for you. If you've got any competitions coming up. And what do you think of swimming 3,000 to 5,000? I'm assuming you mean meters a couple times a week. I mean, it's not bad, but like it's not really structured either. And Santiago, feeling stronger. I like that. Santiago is one of my athletes. So just one of those guys that, starts putting in a little bit of work in the weights and things are just going better and better. So, dude, I love hearing that. I can't wait to see you go in and smash that dude in 4 weeks. All right, guys, we're going to get into the episode now. Questions will be answered at the end on the Instagram Live. So if you are not on the Instagram Live, make sure you're there at the end of the episode if you've got questions. So we're going to get into the episode now, talking about how getting stronger actually helps your cardio. Now, let's get going in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we're talking about how getting stronger actually helps your cardio. Now, we're talking about this because I posted a video the other day talking about the importance of getting strong and how it can actually benefit your cardio. And, first little while, the video's up, was doing pretty well, getting some good views, getting some good engagement, a couple people asking a couple of questions, typical kind of stuff. And then, wow, I had one guy in particular that came through and he was commenting back to everyone else that was asking questions, but then also commented to me, telling me that I was stupid. I had no fucking idea what I was talking about, told me that I need to stick to training soccer moms. The funny part of that is, if you've been watching the show or following me for a while, you probably know I helped Chris Curtis out with his last camp leading up to UFC 297. And when I got this message from this dude telling me to stick to training soccer moms because fighters are, and I quote, built different, I was actually at the UFC 297 press conference watching my athlete up on stage. So that one just kind of made me laugh a little bit of humor there. But anyways, this dude was very, very upset that I said that lifting weights could have any benefit to your cardio. So I figured he wasn't interested in having a conversation or actually learning. He just wanted to yell and call me a dork and all kinds of funny shit. So I figured I'd explain it all to you guys. So how does getting strong actually affect your cardio? So number one, we're going to talk about what getting strong actually means. Because a lot of people out there seem to think that when I talk about weightlifting or when I talk about strength training, that I'm talking about bodybuilding. Understand, guys, when I say strength training is an important part of athletic development, I don't mean stop doing your MMA training, stop doing your plyometric work, stop doing your conditioning, and just lift weights. I mean incorporate strength training into the rest of the training that you're doing. Now, The other part of that is when we're focusing in on strength training, the goal of it is not to just pack on as much muscle as possible. As an example, when I'm incorporating strength training in with athletes of mine, they're lifting 2 to 3 times a week. That's it. And those lifts are not like blasting the whole body, trying to get as much into it as possible. It's 4, maybe 5 lifts, depending on kind of where we're at in the season. 3 to 4 sets, 6 to 8 reps as a kind of general example, focusing on just slowly but surely improving the strength levels in the body, built in around all the other training that the athletes are doing. So strength training is not about destroying your fucking body. Strength training is not about burning out your legs with crazy leg days that are going to keep you sore for 5 or 6 days. It's slowly but surely progressively overloading the body to improve its ability to withstand resistance or withstand load. And so that, just to clear that one up, number one, the goal of strength training is not to pack on as much mass as possible. It's to improve the body's overall function. The second thing is it's about how you strength train. If you're just lifting weights, trying to get more weight on the bar, again, same thing. You're not necessarily going to see a good translation to the sport. If you focus on the actual technique of the lifts, how the muscles are engaging together, improving the coordination, focusing on which muscles you can get working more during specific lifts, you can translate that better into the actual sport as well. You know, think about when you throw a punch, you're not just using your arm, it's your hip extending through to your core, through to your upper body, right? So when you're doing a squat, if you focus on sitting back through your hip more, engaging the muscles in the glutes and the hamstrings, and then on the way up with the squat, focus on driving your hips up through the bar. Now we're building that same extension pattern through the hip, through the core, and then obviously not punching with the upper body, but we're building that part of that extension pattern that then translates into throwing punches. Does that make sense? So it's not just how much weight can I get on a bar, it's how you actually lift the weight. So now, how does that affect your cardio? So plain and simple, the easiest way to put this is when you are moving around, when you're moving around, when you're throwing punches, kicks, whatever it is, whatever your sport specifically is, you're using energy. That should be pretty obvious to everybody, I hope. Now, if your body is stronger, then every movement you make is using less of the overall energy your body is capable of outputting. Does that make sense? So again, if you're stronger, but also if you move more efficiently, so you work on not just lifting more weights, but work on improving the patterns in which you're lifting the weights. Now your body has more energy to output and it's moving more efficiently. So you're wasting less energy in your movements. And because you're wasting less energy in your movements and you have more overall energy to output, every movement you make is taking less of your overall energy, therefore allowing you to move more before you start to fatigue. Hence, getting stronger helps the cardio. Now, again, I want to clarify a few things. Getting stronger is not the only thing that you need to do to help your cardio. Okay? So before you go to that same post and start freaking out that, I'm saying that getting stronger somehow helps your cardio, it's not the only thing you need to be doing. Number two, if you are focused on strength training, you're not just going to magically start putting on 20 to 30 pounds of muscle and make it impossible to cut weight. Because plain and simple, there are people out there every day trying to put on 20 to 30 pounds of muscle and not succeeding. So if you are not focused on building as much muscle as possible, you're not going to magically get enormous and stiff and not be able to cut weight anymore. It's just not going to happen. So stop worrying about that and just lift weights 2 to 3 times a week within the structure of the rest of the training you're doing. Now, the other thing as well is it's important to make sure that you're taking that strength that you're doing and properly transitioning that into developing better explosive power. Right? Because if you're just lifting all the time, just lifting and training and lifting and training and lifting and training, again, is it going to improve your movement efficiency a little bit? For sure. But if you're not doing proper conditioning work and you're not doing any explosive power training or anything like that on top of it, you're going to struggle. So again, trying to break it all down in a podcast here of like exactly how to structure every piece of everything through your year, there's too many variables, so I'm not going to do that. But what I really want to make sure that you take away from this is number one, The focus is not just building mass. Number two, it's about how you lift the weight, not just how much weight you lift. Number three, strength training is not the only thing to do to help build your cardio, but it is an important piece of you being able to go for longer without gassing out. Now, the final way I'm going to explain that is if you are an athlete and you're worried about, lifting weights making you slow or anything like that, think about it like this. If you build a house or a building of any kind, you need a foundation. You don't just stick a wall into a pile of mud and hope it stands up. You have a concrete foundation that the walls and everything else go into in order to actually be able to build the structure and have that structure withstand anything. It's the same thing when you're building your body. Muscle keeps your body functioning. Now, do you need masses and masses and masses of it? Of course not. But having muscle is not going to gas you out. Having muscle is not going to make you slow. What will gas you out and what will make you slow is focusing only on building muscle and not focusing on your conditioning, not focusing on your explosive power work, not focusing on your cardio, and not focusing on your MMA or boxing or whatever type of training that you're doing. Does that make sense? So it's not like you shouldn't be worrying about, I'm going to put on so much mass that I'm going to be slow, because you're doing all the other things that are focused around making you athletic. The weights are one piece of the puzzle. And because they're one piece of the puzzle, they're creating a stronger foundation. They're creating a stronger foundation so that your body can function more efficiently off of it. The other things you've got to understand is, number one, if you are not strength training, your muscles are going to be easier to hurt. So like if you throw a hard punch and it connects at an awkward angle, if you don't have a strong shoulder, it's going to take less force coming through that shoulder to do damage to it. But if that shoulder is stronger, now it takes more force to actually do damage to that shoulder if it connects in an awkward spot. So not only is this going to help your cardio if you learn how to incorporate strength training properly, it's going to help your cardio because you're moving more efficiently, you're wasting less energy, but you're also going to get hurt less. And if you're injured less and you're not as sore and you're not in pain all the time because your body's always getting beat up, what starts to happen? You start to be able to train more. And if you're able to train more, what else is going to happen? Your body's going to feel better. If your body's going to feel better, the cardio is going to continue to improve, right? It's not black and white. There are levels that are going to be just too much, and then in turn, you're going to get some issues from it. But the main thing, guys, is like strength training is to an athlete what the foundation is to a building. Without it, you're capping the ability to actually build anything on top of it. So I hope you got some value from that. I hope you got some understanding, like a little bit better of an understanding. And honestly, the final thing I'm going to leave you off with this episode is, if you are taking in information online, like if you are, watching, whether it's on my page, whether it's on someone else's page, whatever, if you're taking in information online, instead of going straight to the fuck you attitude if there's something that you don't agree with, like this lovely gentleman did, go actually try to ask questions, right? Because like, I don't care if people disagree with the things that I post. Sometimes like this one, it was just funny because it's just a fact. Like there's no arguing it. Like, yes, if you strength train wrong, it's not going to help you. But if you learn to do it the right way, it's going to help you, plain and simple. Like, there's no argument there. But the issue wasn't the disagreement. The issue was literally, without any context whatsoever, this dude jumps onto this post, starts commenting back to everyone else, telling them that I'm an idiot and I have no idea what I'm talking about. They shouldn't listen to me, blah, 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 blah. And then starts threatening me because he disagreed with what I said. And then as he was explaining his points further, the funniest part of the whole thing is, after telling me that I was wrong for talking about lifting weights and all of that, he then said that he lifts weights twice a week. So like, the context was so fucked up and the conversation was so far off that I just stopped answering, because like it wasn't going anywhere. But when you go to consume information online, ask questions. It's okay to not agree. And it's okay to, have a different opinion, but ask a question. because you don't want to go into conversations like this where you're just far off base of what's actually being said, and then you just get mad and then the conversation doesn't go anywhere because you're not benefiting and they're not benefiting. But if you come in and you ask a question, like if he had come in and he had said, well, are you saying that all you need to do is just lift weights? Then I could have been like, no, actually, if you go watch other videos, I say this, 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 and this. And then that actually could have produced a positive result for either one of us, right? But it just turned into a waste of time. So the big thing is just ask questions, try to inform yourself further. Because by doing that, maybe you ask a couple of questions and you think, okay, this guy's an idiot and he doesn't know what he's talking about. Then move on. That's okay. But maybe you ask a couple of questions, and by asking a couple of questions, you learn something. You know what I mean? Like, but coming in with that angry attitude just isn't going to benefit anybody. So, guys, that's it. That's all. I hope you got some value from that. I hope you got some better understanding. And I appreciate you all for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And I will catch you on the next episode. All right, guys, we're doing a little bit of Q&A.